Good day YouTube. This is just a quick fun look at the latest release of Kubuntu version 19.04, which is currently in beta, but it's not too long until it's officially released, so you could say for the most part it's fairly baked out here now. So starting off, I'll probably just preface this with saying that I haven't really ever used Kubuntu too much, or even more in particular the desktop interface that it does use, which is called the Kde Plasma Desktop environment. So not something I've gotten into a lot. The reason for that in the past was that it was actually quite a resource heavy sort of a desktop environment, but these days it's not so bad. I do find that it is working well under one CPU here at the moment, and it's quite choppy. It's really holding its own, I would like to think. Now, starting off, what we'll have a look at is, as we can see, we've got a lot of little features and things. Again, I don't know a great deal about this desktop environment. It's not something I've gotten into, but it is a little bit different to your typical Linux distro, I would have to say. Obviously, a little bit more refined. I always thought it was trying to copy Windows 7, 8, or 10 back in the day, but really, I guess it's doing its own thing, which is nice to see. Let's say, moving on to the file manager in particular, moving on for the desktop environment, we can see that we've got the old classic, the Dolphin window manager, which has been around for years on KDE or Kubuntu or any variant of it. So very popular, more I guess heavyweight file manager or Windows window manager there itself. Moving on, if we have a look, being Kubuntu, obviously it's based off Ubuntu, and therefore we are running the latest kernel there, which is 5.x, which is really fantastic to see, miles above plenty of the rest of the Linux distributions out there. Not all of them, but definitely quite a few, not the least of which is Linux Mint, which is always running something a bit older, as it is based off an older version of Ubuntu, unfortunately. Let's see, what else? The things like the icon packs, the applications. Now, obviously, or should I say, with the actual software itself, not something I normally get into with videos, but a lot of these are Kubuntu based. So you might even notice they start with a K generally, just going with their own theme. So they do tend to have their own software, I guess specific to Kubuntu or the Kde Plasma Desktop environment, which is nice to see. So it's a little bit different, in many ways the same sometimes, depending on what you pull open. But just a moment ago, I also noticed there was some Kate text editor, which I haven't really heard of before. When my main daily driver is Ubuntu 19.04, for instance. But yeah, here we go. It's just something a little bit different. Probably not as refined as I would like it to look there. Kind of a little bit ugly, to be honest. But, you know, you get what you get. So, I always like to finish these videos off with having a little bit of a look at the RAM usage. And I need to install a little bit of something there, just to give you guys a feel for... What am I doing? I can't talk and type. There we go. So let's just quickly install this little program, and we'll get a feel for how much RAM is being used. In fact, it is already on the right hand side. I like to use the GUI by default, but if we're looking here, we might be using, okay, half a gig. That would not be too bad for an Ubuntu based distribution. So let's see, htop, pull it up, and here we go. Okay, so it is showing a little bit differently. Oh, plenty in the swap. I won't get into that. So for the most part, we have, it's opened up from scratch for the most part. So there's not a lot running in here. Maybe some default applications, but running at 642, 50 meg, that sort of thing, just from scratch. That's not looking too bad actually. That's somewhat comparable with Linux Mint, which is great for RAM. It's even better than Ubuntu, I would have to say. I would still say that it actually runs a bit slower than Ubuntu one way or another. I don't know how based on that, but maybe it's the visualizations, all sorts of things there. But yeah, it's Ubuntu straight off the bat can easily use 800 megabytes of RAM, which is pretty appalling to be honest, but it does seem to be optimized a little bit better, I would have to say, because this is, even though it's snappier than the olden days, it's still not up to scratch for what I want. You are asking for a lot out of a Kubuntu machine when it comes to hardware. I guess in either way. There is widgets and things. I put a few on here before the video, and having issues making them move now. This looks like a digital clock. This is obviously a Bluetooth toggle, and then we've got an old-fashioned analog clock, fantastic, with a calendar that jumps out of it. But that's pretty much my video there, guys. Just a bit of a fun, quick look at what's going on here with Kubuntu. Yeah, by no means a fully in-depth video. What I would say is I would recommend it to only people with really high-end machines, just in terms of specs. Low-end is just still not going to work out that too well for you. Even scrolling down is a bit slow for me here. So that's pretty much it, guys. Hope you've enjoyed. Please leave a comment, subscribe, and all those nice things. Cheers.